Hello students, welcome to the study portal. So today we are going to discuss about cytology, which is your unit 3 under the subject histopathology and cytology. So today we are going to start unit 3 and we are discuss in this unit what is cytology, what is the stainings under this. So let's start our topic. So what are the learning objectives for today's class? Introduction, obviously, what is cytology? Then we are going to discuss what are the common cytological tests, what are the common tests that we are going to perform in our cytology lab. Then what type of sample collection methods, what type of samples are there, what are the methods of sample collection in our cytology lab. Then we'll discuss about the technique FNAC. I will tell you what is FNAC, and then Pap staining. Then we'll discuss Pap staining, which is under the cytology. Let's start one by one. First you have to know what is cytology. As we have also discussed in our previous lectures, there is a main subject pathology and it has different branches. So today we are discussing cytology or cytopathology. So what is cytology? Cytology is the study of cells, and when we add pathology with it, so it becomes cytopathology. So now we are diagnosing, or now we are studying diseases under the cells. Okay. So cytology, it is a Greek word, okay, in which cyto means cells. So this is the study of cells. Like in previous lectures when we discuss histopathology, so what is the meaning of histo means tissue. So in that section we study the diseases of tissues. Here we discuss the diseases under the cells. So cyto means cells and pathology means study about the disease. Study about the disease of the cells or in the cells. Okay. So cytology, which is also known as cytopathology, involves the examining cells from bodily tissues or fluids to determine a diagnosis. So in this category we also diagnose body tissues or fluids. Okay. So cytology tests are most commonly used to screen or diagnosis for cancer. So you have to remember this thing, the cytology is mainly done for the diagnosis of cancerous cells. So we also have a classification of cancers that we will discuss in our further lectures or units. So basically we done cytology to diagnose the cancerous cells. Then cytopathology is a branch of pathology, as I have already told you, that studies and diagnoses the diseases on the cellular level. So now we have to diagnose the disease at the cellular levels, okay? And this discipline, which is known as cytology or cytopathology, it was developed by the Sir George Nicholas Papanicolaou in 1928, okay? 1928. That is why, as I've told you in the content section, learning objective section, that we are going to discuss about Pap stain also. So this Pap stain is on the name of the scientist, Sir Papanicolaou. Okay. So this category of pathology, which is known as cytopathology, is developed by Sir George Nicholas Papanicolaou in the year 1928. Let's move forward. What are the common cytopathology tests which we are done on regular basis or on routine basis? These are the common tests. Most common test is gynecological cytology. You have also heard about the cervical cancer. Which occurs in women. Okay. So first and most important test is gynecological cytology. Then we have other categories also, like urinary cytology, breast cytology, thyroid cytology, lymph node cytology, respiratory cytology, and ear and eye cytology. Because cancerous cells can occur anywhere in the body. It is not necessary that cancer occurs only in the cervical regions in the women. Cancer can occur in every part of our body or in any part of our body. So we can also study these cytologies also. Cancer cells may also be present in the urinary part of the body, or in the breast part, or in the thyroid. So these are the common tests which we are performing in our cytopathology laboratory. Let's move forward. What are the sample collection methods? So in cytopathology, there are two types of sample collection methods, and on that basis we collect our samples and perform the test. So we have two methods: exfoliative cytology and intervention cytology. Okay, exfoliative cytology and intervention cytology. Now we will discuss one by one what is the meaning of exfoliative cytology and what is the meaning of intervention cytology. Let's discuss first exfoliative cytology. So it is a branch of cytology in which a technician or a pathologist, they deal with the cells which our body either naturally shed or they have to collect with the help of the tools such as blade or brush, and the techniques are known as brushing or scraping the skin or brushing the skin. Let's discuss. It is a branch of cytology in which the cells that pathologists have to examine are either shed by the body naturally or are manually collected or scraped or brushed from the surface of the tissue. So what is the meaning of the word exfoliated? The meaning of the word exfoliated is the meaning of sample collection manually with the help of two techniques, either brushing, either scraping. Okay, so like this is the oral cavity, this is the oral cavity. Okay, this is the brush. So here what the pathologist or what the technician done, he collect the sample from the oral cavity with the help of the brush. Like this, it take the scrap from the oral cavity. Okay, like this, and then after collecting the sample we will put it into the container like this. This is the container. So after collection the sample manually, we have to collect the sample like in a container like this. So what is the meaning of exfoliation? Exfoliation means to collect the sample either with the help of the brush or either with the help of a surgical blade, through which we be doing the scraping of the skin. Okay, now there are two types of exfoliative cytology. First is manual. So let's discuss manual. So exfoliative cytology that involves manual tissue brushing or scraping the tissue includes gynecological samples. Okay, gynecological samples do not naturally shed. Obviously we have to collect it manually. Like pap smears, we take pap smears from the women in which there is a chances of having a cervical cancer. So a pap smear which involves brushing of cells from cervix region. When we assume that it may be a chances of having a cervical cancer in the woman, so we have to collect a smear from the cervix region into the vagina of the woman. Okay, so a pap smear which involves brushing of the cells from cervix using a swab. Here you cannot use the brush, using a swab, and it is the most well-known type of exfoliative cytology. Gynecological sample, as I've told you already, it is a common technique which is going to perform in the cytopathology laboratory. So it is a well-known type of exfoliative cytology. What are the other types of samples other than gynecological samples? So we have gastrointestinal tract samples, GIT samples, like from stomach or from intestine. So healthcare providers can brush off the cells from the lining of the GIT, gastrointestinal tract, or from your stomach or from your intestine during the endoscopy. What is endoscopy? As there is a long thin tube which we can insert through our throat or through the anal canal of the patient. So this is the procedure of endoscopy. So during the endoscopy, the technician or the healthcare provider take the sample from the stomach or the intestine with the help of the brush. So again, it is a manual exfoliative technique. Now what is the another method? We have skin and mucus samples. So here we can scrap off the cells. Of course, when you have to collect the sample from the skin layer or from the there is any deformity you have seen, or you have to take the sample from here, from the skin, so you have to scrap the skin with the help of the surgical blade. So you can scrap off the cells from the skin, or mucous membranes. What is mucous membrane? Obviously inside our nose and inside our mouth. The skin which is present inside our oral cavity, inside our mouth or inside our nose, it is known as mucous layer. So when we have to take samples from our skin area or the mucous layer, so we have to scrap the samples. So this is known as manual exfoliative technique. Now what is the second type? Second type is naturally shedding. The cells or the sample which naturally shed from our body. What are the type of samples? So examples of exfoliative cytology that involves collecting tissues or fluid that body naturally sheds includes respiratory samples. Obviously, what type of respiratory samples? Such as mucus, which is also known as phlegm or sputum, like from TB patient or patient which having a cough, long time cough. So provider can collect fluid such as spit or saliva. You can also say saliva. So saliva or sputum, it is a type of tissue which our body naturally releases. So spit or saliva or mucus, which is also known as phlegm or sputum, that cough up for a respiratory cytology test. So patient can easily cough up the phlegm or the saliva into the container. So these samples with provider don't have to collect it from the patient. Patient can naturally shed it from their body, and it can be collected in the container and send it to the lab for the further procedures. Then what is the second category? Urinary samples. Another type of sample which body naturally shed is the urinary samples, obviously. So patient can pass out the urine by their own, so can collect urine samples. What is the third type of category? Discharge or secretion samples. Sometimes our body starts secreting abnormally, like from our eyes, from our breast areas, from our vaginas. So these type of abnormal discharge, when your body starts showing these type of symptoms, or your body start discharging some fluid from your body. Another category is discharge or secretion samples. When body sometimes starts discharging some type of abnormal fluid from the body, like from the eye area or from the breast area or from the vaginal area, so we have to collect that abnormal discharge. Okay, so this is also another category which body naturally shed. So if experience abnormally bodily discharge, such as from eyes, from vagina, etc., so it can collect a sample of, so we have to collect the sample of that discharge. So again, this is the category which body naturally discharge, and we do not have to collect it manually. Patient can give this discharge by their own also. Next we have intervention. This is the second type of sample collection. First type of sample collection was exfoliation. Now this is the second type of sample collection, intervention. So what it is? So it is again a branch of cytology in which healthcare provider has to intervene with the body. What is the meaning? Intervene into the body. It means the healthcare provider or the technician has to insert something into your body and then collect the fluid. Like as I've discussed when we discuss our learning objectives, so there is a technique which is known as FNAC. So this FNAC, it is a technique which comes under the intervention, which comes under the interventional type of cytology. FNAC come under the interventional type of cytology because in this technique there are the needles which healthcare provider has to insert into the body and then has to remove the fluid, whatever the abnormal fluid are present in the body. Okay, so it is a branch of cytology in which healthcare provider has to intervene intervene with the body to get the samples of the cells to test, meaning that they have to pierce your skin in some way to get the sample cells. They have to pierce your skins. It is not collected from outside of the body. You have to pierce the body of the patient to collect the sample. So the most common type of intervention cytology is FNAC. What is FNAC? FNAC is fine needle aspiration. Fine needle aspiration cytology. So it is the most common type of intervention cytology. The healthcare provider will inject a thin needle into the area that need to sample and draw out the fluid. Now a pathologist then examine the cells in the fluid under the microscope. The healthcare provider or the technician first take out the sample of the fluid which shown that this area has some deformity. They have to first check the palpation. Whenever we perform FNAC, as we have also discussed in this lecture, so we have to first check the palpation. We have to check the palpation, then we can assume that this is the area of deformity. There is some fluid filled cavity under our skin or under the patient's skin. So their needle will be inserted and collected that abnormal fluid, which further processed and examined under the microscope by the pathologist. So what is the meaning of intervention cytology? To pierce the skin with the needle and then take out the sample. Now, areas where FNAC can be performed. What are the areas where we can perform the FNAC technique? So, fluid filled lumps such as cysts. Sometimes cysts are formed under our skin. So, they are again in the cyst there is a fluid filled cavities are there. So, this is one type of area where we can perform the FNAC. So what is FNAC basically? We have different types of needles in the FNAC, which I will show you in the further lecture. So we have to insert the needle and we have to pull out the abnormal fluid which is present into our body due to any type of reason. So this is basically the FNAC. So what is first condition where we can perform FNAC? First is cyst, fluid filled cyst. Second, solid lumps in which nodules or masses will be present under the skin. What is the third type? Lymph nodes. We can perform FNAC in lymph nodes. Then we have pericardial fluid, which is the what is the pericardial fluid? It is present around our heart. Then we have pleural fluid which is present in the spaces between our lungs. So these are the areas where we can perform FNAC technique. So what is FNAC basically? As I've already told you, fine needle aspiration cytology. It involves a use of a needle which is attached to a syringe to collect cells from the lesions or masses in various body organs. In which there is some type of masses or some type of fluid is filled. So we have to collect it with the help of the needle which is attached with a syringe. So often with application of negative pressure or suction to increase the yield. Obviously we have to perform a negative pressure so that proper suction will be occur. It can be performed under palpation guidance. First we have to check the palpation over here. So suppose there is fluid filled cavity here in my hand. So I have to first check the palpation. I have to feel the palpation. I have to mark that this is the particular anatomical position where I can insert the needle and take out the fluid. So it is performed under the palpation guidance on the mass in superficial region like neck, thyroid, breast. Okay, so first we have to check the palpation. Then FNAC may be assisted by ultrasound or CT scan. Why it has to be assisted with the techniques like ultrasound or CT scan? Because sometimes this fluid filled cavity or this type of mass is also present deep inside our organs, which we cannot be seen with our naked eyes, which cannot be seen on the outside of the body. So for that we have to assist with these type of techniques. See, for sampling deep deep-seated lesions within the body that cannot be localized by palpation. If there is a fluid-filled cavity deep inside of such of any organ, so how we can feel the palpation? We cannot feel the palpation in such situation. So for that we have to assist with the help of these two techniques like ultrasound and CT scan, so that we can mark the perfect anatomical site that yes, here I have to perform the FLAC, or here I have to insert my needle for FLAC procedure. Okay, so this is our FLAC, like this, like this is the leg area. This is our FLAC needle. This is our FLAC needle. So first we have to check the palpation here. You have to touch the area, you have to feel the palpation, and then insert the needle like this and suck out all the abnormal fluid. So we have two main types of needles in the FLAC which we are used. It is known as, first is Kallima and second is Salah. Kallima needle and Salah needle. So this is our Kallima needle and this is our second one is Salah needle. The second one is our Salah needle and first one is our Kallima needle. So this is the type of FLAC needles. Okay. So these are the two types of FLAC needles which are used for this technique, and the name is, this one is Kallima needle and this one is Salah needle. Okay. Now, how does cytology test work? Why do we perform? How does these tests work? So each cytology test is slightly different, obviously, because depending upon the type of the specimen, what we are collected, are we collected the whole fluid or we collected some cells? So depending on that, so depending on what kind of cells are being tested, if the sample is a tissue or a fluid, obviously what type of sample you are collected, what is the type of sample, on that it depends. Like in general, there are 4 steps of cytological test includes. Okay, collecting the sample, obviously first you have to collect the sample, then processing the sample, here also you have to process the sample, then examining the sample and sharing the results with the patient. Okay, let's discuss. So collecting the sample, how you will collect the sample? So some of the ways provider can collect cytological samples include brushing and scraping. We have already discussed what is brushing or what is scraping. Okay, we have to collect the sample either by scraping the skin or by brushing the mucous layers. So what is the second? Collecting fluid or discharge samples from the body. Okay, another type is we have to collect the fluid or discharge, abnormal discharge, like from the eyes, from our body. And what is the next step? FLAC, using FLAC. If there is something fluid filled cavity under our tissue, deep seated tissue or organ, or under our skin, so we have to use the FLAC needle. So we have already discussed all the types of sample collection. Now processing the sample. Now how we process the sample in cytopathology? So for some type of cytology test that involves tissue samples, the healthcare provider who took the sample smears and spread it on the glass microscope slide and then send it to the pathology lab. Okay, it depends on the type of the sample, how you going to perform your, or how you going to process your sample. First you have to identify what type of sample is it. Okay, like here we have a tissue sample. So what will be the function of the healthcare provider here? He will take a glass slide, he will make a perfect smear and then send it to the pathology lab. Okay, this is the one type. Now what is the second type? If the cytology test involves body fluids, here we take tissue sample, now here we take fluid sample. So if there is a sample body fluid, so what will healthcare provider does? It won't be able to use the smears. Now here smears will not be formed. Here smears will not be formed because the sample is too diluted. What is the meaning of too diluted? Because the sample is fluid. So only few cells will be collected with the along with the fluid. Okay, there are only few cells present in the fluid, so they are likely to send the sample in a container. They collect the fluid, and then they transfer this fluid into the container and send it to the pathology lab. Okay, so we have a two type of processing depending on the type of sample which is collected. First is tissue sample. If tissue sample is collected, so what is the function of the healthcare provider here? He has to make a slide, he has to make a smear and then send it to the pathology lab. If the sample is body fluid, so they had to transfer this body fluid from the syringe to the container and send it to the pathology lab. So this is the processing. Now, once a cytology sample arrives at the lab, pathologist or a lab technician dip the smear in certain stains. What are the stains? Colored dyes, depending on what kind of sample it is. Obviously, if there is a gynecological sample, so which stain we are going to perform? We are going to perform the Pap stain. So according to the sample which we receive into our lab, pathologist or the lab technician will going to perform the further steps accordingly. Okay. Now, if the cytology sample is a fluid, the pathologist use centrifuge to separate the cells. If there is a fluid, so as we have discussed in the earlier slide, if we collect the fluid, so there is a chances that cells are present in the less number into the fluid. So what we have to do, we have to centrifuge our sample. So because of the centrifuge, like this is the tube and this is the fluid. This is the whole fluid. Okay, in this cells are also present, few cells. Now when you centrifuge your fluid, so what will happen, the fluid will be there, but all the samples will be collected at the end of the tube. So these are the cells, they form the sediment. Okay, so all these cells which we actually have to diagnose, or on which we have to perform our staining, so here they have collected here. So we discard this supernatant. After centrifuge, this area is the supernatant which we do not want. So we discard this supernatant, and all the cells on which we have to perform our staining, they are collected here at the end, and this is known as sediment. So we discard this, we collect this supernatant, and then we proceed with our further staining procedure. Okay, so let's read it. If the cytology sample is a fluid, the pathologist or lab technician use a centrifuge to separate cells that they want to examine for the fluid. Okay, now the pathologist, they'll put the cells on a smear and we stain them. When we collect our cells over here from the sediment, so now we can easily make a smear of these. Now again we can able to make the smear of these cells also, and then we can easily perform our staining. Okay, so if there is a tissue, so your healthcare provider make the slide and send it to the pathology lab. If there is a fluid, so we have to centrifuge it, we have to collect the cells which are going to process, and then again make a slide like this, and we can able to perform our staining procedures. Now examining the samples. Now what will be the next step? Now we are collecting the samples, we are processing our samples already. Now we have to examine our samples. So after a pathologist or lab technician process and stain the cytology samples, they examine cells under the microscope and looking for any abnormality. Okay, now our sample is already processed, we are making the slide, we are making the smear, and we are done with staining also. Till now we have already done. Okay, we have processed our sample, we have collected the sample, we make the smear, we have done with the staining. Now what will be the next step? Next step is the microscopic examination. Microscopic examination. So under the microscope, pathologist will observe, is there any abnormality or not. If abnormality is there, so the pathologist makes a diagnosis based on the cells. Either the cells are normal or either the cells are abnormal. So pathologist will make a report according to that and send the report. And then he put together a report. A pathologist then make a diagnosis based on the cells and put together a report. After microscopy, he will observe either cells are normal or abnormal, and according to that, he make a final report. Now, what will be the next step? Sharing the result. Now, report is already formed, so now it's the time to sharing the result with the patient. So, after they put together the report, the pathologist will send it to the respective healthcare provider, who will going to deal with the patient, and provider will go over the result with the patient and determine the next steps. He will give all the instructions to the patient. He will share the report to the patient, try to explain what is written over there and what will be the further next steps we have to take. Okay, so sharing with the results. So we have done with our specimen processing from sample collection to sharing the results with the patient.